Lilith transformed. While Rebecca engaged Adam at the Western Grove, Lilith had her own confrontation to face. She moved through the sanctuary's underground passages, built over centuries by women seeking refuge from persecution. The network led to a hidden cove on the southern shore, where Abraxas had established his base of operations. Unlike the other patriarchs who attacked with direct force, the Archon worked through deception and corruption. He had established himself in a cave overlooking the sea, surrounded by mirrors that reflected distorted images of reality, his primary tools of manipulation. Lilith approached not in human form, but as a swarm of moths, undetectable to Abraxas's sentries. Only when she reached the heart of his sanctum did she reform her body, stepping from shadows into the pale light of his corrupt magic. "I wondered when you would come," Abraxas said without turning, unsurprised by her arrival. The Archon appeared deceptively beautiful, his form shifting subtly between genders, embodying the seductive aspect of corrupt power. "The first rebel returns to the first deceiver." "You claim I learned defiance from you," Lilith replied, "yet I have no memory of our meeting before Eden." "Memory is flexible," Abraxas smiled, finally facing her. "Reality itself bends to the strongest narrative. For millennia, Adam's story has overshadowed yours. He named you demon, succubus, child stealer, and so you became in the minds of humanity." He gestured to the mirrors surrounding them, each showing a different distorted version of Lilith. The night hag of superstition, the enticer of religious warning tales, the monstrous infanticide of fearful folklore. "These are not me," Lilith stated firmly. "They became you," Abraxas corrected. "Perception shapes essence, especially for beings like us who exist in the spaces between divine and mortal." He approached her, his beauty becoming more hypnotic. "Join me, Lilith. Together we could rewrite the story, place ourselves at its center rather than its margins." "You speak of changing the narrative while perpetuating its worst aspects," Lilith observed. "You don't wish to end domination. You merely wish to be the dominator." Abraxas's expression hardened. "Power exists to be wielded. If not by me, then by Thor or Adam or some other figure who claims divine right. The pattern cannot be broken." "Cannot?" Lilith raised an eyebrow. "Or should not, because a world without domination would have no place for creatures like you?" The Archon hissed, his beautiful form momentarily revealing something ancient and monstrous beneath. "You think your little sanctuary of rebellious goddesses can change the fundamental nature of power? Eve tried to remedy your defiance, to be the compliant woman Adam desired. Even she failed in the end." "Eve was never my replacement," Lilith said quietly. "She was my sister, another aspect of the feminine divine that Adam failed to recognize." With deliberate movements, Lilith approached one of the distorting mirrors. Rather than shying away from the monstrous reflection, she placed her hand against the glass. "These are not mirrors, but prisons," she said. "Narratives designed to contain aspects of feminine power by making them objects of fear." The glass beneath her fingers began to crack. "What are you doing?" Abraxas demanded, alarm replacing confidence. "Freeing myself completely," Lilith answered. "Not just my body, as I did when leaving Eden, but my story." The mirror shattered. But instead of glass fragments, thousands of tiny lights emerged, coalescing around Lilith like a constellation taking human form. One by one, she approached each mirror, touching it, cracking it, liberating the distorted reflections into points of light that joined the growing aura around her. "Stop this!" Abraxas commanded, his voice carrying compulsion that would have paralyzed mortal minds. Lilith continued, unaffected. "Your commands have no power over one who has already broken the first and strongest compulsion." As the final mirror shattered, Lilith stood transformed. No longer just the rebel who had defied Adam, she embodied the fullness of feminine potential. Not as a counterforce to masculine power, but as a complete power. "You've doomed yourself," Abraxas warned, backing away. "Without these reflections defining you, what are you?" "That," Lilith smiled radiantly, "is exactly the right question. For the first time since creation, I am fully myself, no longer defined by opposition to patriarchal expectations." The cave began to collapse around them as Abraxas's magic, dependent on distortion and false reflection, lost its foundation. "The others will still defeat your sanctuary," the Archon threatened, his form becoming unstable. "Perhaps," Lilith acknowledged, "but they will not face the women they expected to find." Sophia's light. In the heart of the sanctuary, while her sisters engaged the patriarchal forces at the island's perimeter, Sophia worked on a different plane altogether. The wise goddess sat in perfect meditation at the center of an ancient stone circle, her physical form barely visible as her consciousness expanded beyond normal dimensions. In this expanded state, she could perceive the metaphysical architecture supporting the battle, the ancient thought forms, beliefs, and divine agreements that had shaped human society for millennia. Here, in the realm of pure concept, she confronted the oldest enemy, not Abraxas or Adam, but the primordial paradigm of dominance itself. This paradigm appeared to her heightened perception as a vast geometric structure, a pyramid with countless human and divine entities arranged in rigid hierarchy, each level dominating those below while submitting to those above. The structure was ancient but not primordial. Sophia could perceive even older patterns beneath it, more circular arrangements that had been suppressed but never fully destroyed. "You seek to unravel what has taken eons to establish," a voice resonated through the conceptual space. It belonged to no single entity but to the structure itself, the collective consciousness of hierarchical order. "I seek to remember what existed before hierarchy calcified into tyranny," Sophia responded. "Balance is older than dominance." "Balance is unstable," the voice countered. "Without firm control, chaos ensues." "Without creative chaos, stagnation ensures extinction," Sophia returned. "The universe itself expands through the dance of order and chaos, not through rigid control." As they debated, Sophia began a subtle work, her consciousness extended tendrils of light toward the suppressed circular patterns beneath the pyramid. These patterns represented older ways of understanding reality, indigenous wisdom, matrifocal societies, cultures that had honored feminine principles alongside masculine ones. "These ancient ways were abandoned because they failed," the voice insisted. "The strong naturally rise to control the weak. They were suppressed through violence because they challenged the hunger for unrestricted power," Sophia corrected. "Domination is not natural law but a chosen perspective." As she spoke, her light continued to illuminate the buried patterns, which began to glow with renewed energy. The rigid geometric structure above them trembled slightly as its foundation shifted. "What are you doing?" the voice demanded, now tinged with concern. "Restoring balance to the collective unconscious," Sophia replied. "Not destroying hierarchy, which has its place, but reconnecting it to the circle which must contain it." The pyramid structure began to transform as the circular patterns rose to intersect with it. Rather than collapsing, the hierarchy began to fold inward, its straight lines bending into arcs that eventually formed a sphere, a structure where every point existed in perfect relationship with every other point with no position inherently above or below any other. "These changes everything," the voice said, no longer singular but a harmony of many voices. "This remembers everything," Sophia corrected gently. "The truth that has always existed beneath the illusion of necessary domination." In the physical world, observers would have seen Sophia's form suffused with blinding light that shot skyward in a pillar, temporarily piercing the boundaries between dimensions. This light spread in a gentle wave across the island, subtly altering the fundamental assumptions under which the battle was being fought.